Hello, friends. Hope you're having a beautiful day, whichever day of the week this finds you on. I'm at the end of my day, Sunday here. Just got back from seeing We Live in Time at the theater and just wanted to share my thoughts on the film. So, with that, I'll start off with just my general recommendation, just kind of if you're looking, yeah, for a general recommendation on the film, and then I'll get into spoilers in a little bit, but I'll let you know before we get there. But my yeah, kind of right out of the theater reaction, which I just got back home, like the credits rolled probably 5 to 10 minutes ago. So still processing a little bit. I think it's definitely a movie that I think will have me thinking more, uh, as opposed to some movies where I just get out of the theater and it's just kind of yeah, that was a movie and I move on with it. But overall, I absolutely loved this film. It's an A in my book. I thought it's just a very beautiful film and a I think it just feels like a very real film. The characters felt real, the story felt very grounded and genuine, and it's just about life in general. And I those movies definitely, when they're done well, resonate a lot more with me. It is also very sad, which there again, I think if a movie can get me to feel and reflect, those are definitely things that I value in a film. I know some people don't care as much for very sad films, so if you're in that camp, it's not the saddest film I've ever seen. I think it mixes it's a mixture of emotions. I think there's joy and happiness and sadness, just like there is in life, and I think it captures all that beautifully. So my recommendation is to go see it. I absolutely loved it. I think it's definitely worth the watch. And with that, I'll get into some more specific thoughts on it. So here's your spoiler warning. If you don't want to know anything more about the film, I say go and see it. But if you've already seen it or you don't care about spoilers, then definitely stick around. So this is definitely, I would say, Florence Pugh's film. Andrew Garfield as well I think he's more of a supporting character. I don't know if he'll get billed as the lead of the film, but I would say Florence Pugh is definitely the lead. But I think Andrew Garfield's a very prominent supporting role in this. But I would say it's definitely her movie, and I think they both do really good jobs. But I think she knocks it out of the park with this role and I think by the end of the film, I was on board with their British accents. I think I personally prefer, I mean, granted, I'm American, but I mean, it depends on the individual. But I think I really like Andrew Garfield as Spider Man, and I love that version of Spider Man. And what comes with that is his American accent. And I think more often than not, I've heard Florence Pugh with I don't know for sure. I want to. Hopefully, this isn't offensive. I think her original accent is American, and I think Andrews is British. I could have that wrong, but I think what that did for me was them having accents that I'm less familiar with in like their other work made these feel more distinct as characters, even though like what sounds nicer on my American ears is their American accents. But um, that's kind of a a rabbit hole. I don't know that we needed to get down, but I really like that the movie is told kind of out of order, kind of jumps around to different parts in the timeline, and that actually reminded me of a movie that I saw a couple weeks ago. I didn't do a review for it, but it's also a movie that I did love and would recommend, and that's called The Outrun. But similarly, there it jumps around in time, and they in that movie they played with like different lengths and different colors of hair in the main character, and so they do something similar with this to kind of help. I think anytime you can do a story that jumps around in time well without having to like tell the viewer exactly when it's happening on the timeline, but you have a visual indication. In this case, I think her name's Elmet, the main character. Her hair is different lengths, especially once she starts chemo. To kind of like when you do jump between uh, points on the timeline, you can quickly pick up on that. So I think that it was just very well done. It's not always immediately apparent, which I think also keeps it engaging. But I think it's a good mixture between the two. But Yeah, I felt like I related a lot to her character, just kind of with um, her values and kind of outlook on life. I thought it was, yeah, I think my favorite part of the film was just her relationship with Tobias, and they're not perfect people. They aren't, by the book a perfect match. Like they have a pretty big difference in opinion on what they're looking for as far as kids. And I think a lot of people would write that off and not pursue that as a relationship, or you would deal with it in more unhealthy ways than I think they do. But yeah, it's maybe not the a picture perfect relationship. It's certainly not really like a rom-com where they just kind of get swept off their feet like they do, but it still feels grounded, and that's what I really like about this. Where I don't know if it's considered a rom-com or not. I don't think so. It's really not a comedy. It's just like a romance film, and I kind of like that better, where it is more of a realistic take than what we do get in rom-coms. But I think that was what I was reflecting on the most throughout the film, was kind of their relationship and their dynamic. And yeah, I do think that it's interesting. Like they're painted as very human characters. They do make mistakes. And that's on both sides, and I like that the movie didn't really depict like one as being better than the other. I think there were times though when I definitely took Elmet's side more so. Like I felt that Tobias could have been more supportive. Like she's the one that's going through cancer. She's the one that's possibly or probably going to die depending on where they're at in the process of her treatment. But at the same time, I had to remind myself like not to judge him too harshly, because while he's not the one with cancer himself, he is, her partner, and that's a lot to go through and a like lot to process. And as humans, we don't always act ideally when we're in the middle of processing huge things like that, when we're going through a bunch of stress. And yeah, like I think you had the one point where Almet forgets to pick up their daughter from school, and they get into an argument. And like that was kind of hard to watch, because I think yeah, I think it's always hard to watch people argue, especially when you're, if you got raised voices and stuff like that, and watching people kind of be defensive and just wanting them to talk to each other and share how they're feeling, because they've kind of been reserved in that. And even there, again, I just think that was well done as well, where like yeah, they weren't fully sharing kind of how they felt in those months, because I think they were concerned about how that would make the other feel. And I think that's a very real thing. Like it's very hard to speak your feelings when you are pretty sure that that's going to have a big impact on the other person. You like if you think that they have a different idea of things. So I think even as they had that argument, while it was a little hard to watch, I think by the end they actually resolved it well. I think they heard each other, and you know, like she owns that she messed up, and like he doesn't need to. Like I think that's where it ends, where she's like, I messed up. You don't have to keep, belaboring that point. And even though he's still upset, he does let it go. And I thought that was, yeah, very like mature of both of them, because a lot of people can be in that situation and act from very much a place of, yeah, complete, like even more defensive than they were, and not come to a resolution and not be empathetic towards the other person, but kind of just put up some walls. So yeah, I think yeah, that's kind of most of my thoughts on the film. I think the music as well, I think beautifully fits the film. I think it's Bryce Dessner, and who also did the music for A Good Person, which came out last year, which I also loved. So I was happy to I was pretty sure that's who the composer was, and when the credits rolled, it was. So I was kind of happy to recognize the music. But yeah, I think it really helps shape the film and kind of set the mood throughout. And yeah, other things that I liked about it, I did like. The actress that they got for, their daughter, I don't think, like, too much was demanded of her, but she didn't I think a lot of times you can get a young, actress in a role like that where they feel maybe, um, I don't know, they don't necessarily I think it's yeah, some child actors, although I'm sure they're much better than I would ever be at that age, just kinda come across as, like, a little awkward on camera and just don't feel like a real kid. But while she didn't have like a huge talking role or anything like that, I think she very much felt um, like a real person as well. So that didn't like take you out of the movie, which I very much appreciated. But yeah, a part of the movie I kind of wanted to see more into like Tobias's story and things like that. But the I'm glad we did get to focus on Alma. I think there was definitely some crazy things. I did not see her giving birth and the the gas station coming. That was pretty crazy to watch. And yeah, I don't know. Overall, I just liked how it yeah, I feel like at this point I'm probably going a little bit in circles, but I like that they show the highs and the lows, the happy and the sad of their relationship. I really liked that like by the end, Alma I think lived her life given given that she had cancer. She lived her life how she wanted, and I think that's I like really respect that. And that's not to say it was not something that she changed. Like I think it was very interesting that towards the beginning of their relationship she shared that she's like, yeah, I'm not really big into kids, but she changes her mind. And like I thought it was really beautifully done how they did that, where like he didn't ask that of her. She just kind of being presented with the fact that she could take a treatment where she wouldn't be able to have kids, that made it a much more real decision. And I think she just kind of processed how she felt at that time. And yeah, I think like especially come the end of the film, that was a really beautiful thing where Tobias did value kids more, and now he has their daughter after she presumably dies. They didn't explicitly say that, but that's my assumption since we don't see Alma in the last scene, where through their daughter he gets to spend time with her more, at least a version of her, than if they hadn't had their daughter. But I really like that while she kind of changes her mind on that, she's still very much passionate about her career and what she's going to do with her life. And to um yeah, and like I think part of it was, and she like I think she was very kind of authentic about feeling that way, like like I want to do something with my life, I am going to compete in this competition. But mixed in there was like like I want to do that for me, but I also want to do it for my daughter, like to show her that it's like motherhood isn't completely my life, even though I love being her mom. There's more to it for me than that, and I want to show her that. And I'm not going to let these last months when I'm in the thick of my cancer change who I am. And so I think that was a really beautiful message of the film. And yeah, again, I think the I'm still kind of still processing, but that's I think that's most of my thoughts at this point coming out of the film. I think it's just yeah, really well done. I hope to hear some of your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to, yeah, if you've got any parts of it that resonated with you. And yeah, we'll see if this gets any sort of Oscar buzz. I don't think the performances were. I'm trying to think if like the subject matter is like Oscar bait at all, where I don't know. I think everyone involved did an amazing job. I think Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield knocked it out of the park. I don't know if the script demanded enough of them to get Oscar nominations. I think it depends what else comes out, but I think they definitely deserve to be in the conversation because I don't know. I think it's a maybe a little bit of an understated performance where there wasn't like a single scene or a single speech that was like, oh, that's the Oscar moment. Although I think maybe if I had to pick one, it would be their scene where they are arguing, where they're having to be vulnerable with each other and express how they're feeling and things like that. I think that was a really well done scene. But anyway, awards aside, that's really not entirely the point. For me, this movie hit home, and that's what I love about movies is when they can connect with us and make us think and make us feel, and that's really not something I find in other art forms to that extent. So that's why I love movies. If Yeah, but thanks if you're still watching it at this point. I feel like I've been talking for a while, but it's a good movie and worth talking about. But yeah, if you care to share your thoughts down below, I'd love to read them in the comments. But with that, I hope you continue to have a good rest of your day. And we will see you in the next video.